Level 1, welcome back. So this time we're going to be answering the question of, can you nest if statements? Yes, you can stick an if statement inside of an if statement. Now, why might you want to do this? We already have that whole and or thing. So we could combine our conditions. We don't necessarily need to have an if statement inside of an if statement because they can do very much the same thing. But a nested if statement is going to go more along with the idea of the dry principle. Don't repeat yourself. So sometimes it's more simple and clear to nest your if statements rather than to have a bunch of and or operators. So like right here, let's say you have this nuclear reactor and you're checking its temperature. And you want to make sure, okay, is the temperature less than 300? If it is, that's good. If the temperature is more than 300 and less than 1,000, that's a little bit worrisome. If the temperature is more than that, get out of there. But in the end, it only matters if the reactor is on, because if it's off, you don't really need to be measuring the temperature. Okay, so I could say if reactor on and temperature less than 300, if reactor on and temperature more than or equal to 300, and if reactor on and temperature less than 1,000. Woo! You see that's getting longer. I'm repeating myself a lot. I'm saying if reactor on a bunch. And I don't need to do that. I can write it once and then nest to my if statements. So, as a note, if you run this, it will ask you for a number and it will give you one of these three options. But you might be wondering, what is this else thing? What is it? This else statement is a catch-all. It's extremely important in Python. It says, if it's not true, I want to do something else. So this is what happens if your if statement is false. It's connected to the closest if statement. So if is connected to this one right here, the else statement. So if the temperature is more than 1,000 or equal to 1,000, it goes over here. So, gotta be careful. So that's what's going on with that. When do you use this? You use this if you want to have like a switch, kind of. So in one case, I'm going to do one thing. In another case, I'm going to do another thing. Or maybe you have like several conditions. So if I'm talking to my mom, I send this. If it's my dad, I send this. For everyone else, I don't want to have one for every single person in my contacts. I send this message. So you have to have, some sort of catch-all case where you have your special cases and you have what you do if anything else happens. You don't always have to have this, but it can be helpful. Now here's a kind of a silly example. Let's say that you are the president of some company. Your company is failing. It's going under. Well, you might want to send an email to all of your employees that tells them, that reassures them. But you also want to send a different email to all of your supervisors, telling them what's really going on. So it might look like this. Hello everyone, the company is doing blank. I foresee blank in the future and then some blank at the end. Sincerely, your company president. Okay, now if the employee status is equal to supervisor, it's going to print out this. Hello everyone, the company is doing terribly. I foresee complete failure in the future. Sell your stock immediately. Sincerely, your company president. Goodbye. But if I change supervisor to anything else, like janitor, and I run it again. Hello everyone, the company is doing wonderfully. I foresee great things in the future. It has never been a better time to invest in our company. This guy's a jerk. Sincerely, your company president. Or if I change it to, Random Joe. Run it. Same thing. So this else right here is allowing me to catch everything else. I don't have to have an if statement for Random Joe. I don't have to have an if statement for my janitor. I don't have to have an if statement for, my middle manager. I can just have an if statement for the people I care about, and then a catch-all case for everything else. Remember, if you have multiple if statements, it's connected to the one that's directly above it. So don't forget that. Okay, I'm going to change this back to supervisor just so I don't forget. And we'll end it there. Have fun playing around with this. I kind of enjoy making these little blank things that I can fill in with different things. And hopefully you won't use your Python abilities for evil like this company president was. Well, I'll see all of you next time as we begin practicing some with our else functions. See you later. Bye-bye.